this also is a bit hilarious. The conservative infighting continues, or let me rephrase this. The conservative LARPing infighting continues, right? So apparently, Nick Fuentes is now getting chewed out, and rightly so, for harassing Ben Shapiro and like confronting him on the streets at Turning Point's Student Action Summit here in Florida. Which, by the way, some people were asking me if I was going to go to Student Action Summit, and I had to reserve tickets, or I would have had to reserve tickets during my final exams. Like, that was when I would have had to buy them, and I didn't have the time to buy them. And second off, even with like a student discount, they're still pretty expensive. And yeah, I know. I mean, I know I live here in Florida, but it's all the way up in like West Palm Beach, and you know, you guys know my feelings about Turning Point. Like, I'm not a major fan of Turning Point to begin with. But with that being said, I'm not a Nick Fuentes fan either, and so the fact that he basically made an idiot of himself trying to confront Ben here. So this has gotten a bunch of reaction, and I want to play it for you.
Literally
no way!
I'm here with Andy No. Welcome back to Slightly
Wow,
Offensive.
here he is.
T-pose on
weird.
Ben Shapiro.
T-pose on you.
Let's hit the T-pose. Well,
T-pose Army.
hey man, we're about wow.
All right. What do you think about Ben Shapiro?
He's not drinking enough adrenochrome if this is happening right now.
So if you don't know, we're here outside of Turning Point USA conference where Nick Fuentes was kicked out after trying to enter. And we also have Andy No here documenting. And we are running into Ben Shapiro apparently. Are you going to walk across and greet him?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if he'll greet me. Are we going to go over? Let's go over.
All right. This is the Twitter.
This can't be in the middle of the street, though.
We'll keep going.
Oh, okay.
Ben, it's great to see you. Why did you give a 45-minute speech about me at Stanford, and you won't even look at my
Hey, he's with his kids.
Come on, I'm right here. Oh,
Hey, let him cross, man.
Let him cross.
I know you're with your family, but I can't get to anywhere else. A 45-minute speech? Wow. Well, that's our free speech warrior, everybody. Champion of the battle of ideas.
Good job,
man. What's my ideas, man?
Hey, come on. It's his family, man. It's his family. Hey, no. You guys just watch the dog.
Wants it.
Okay, now I want to pause this clip here. I mean, it's almost over, but first off, Nick acts like he was just, that it was just coincidence that he, bumped into Shapiro, right? But someone had to have, let him know where, Ben was staying, what hotel he was at. There was no way that this wasn't coordinated somewhat, right? So, I don't believe that Nick just, coincidentally bumped into, Ben and his family while he was, surrounded by a film crew, okay? That's the first thing. Second off, and this is one of the things that has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way about Fuentes. And again, I've I've defended Fuentes in terms of like saying that he shouldn't be deplatformed, and he has his right to his free speech, but that doesn't mean I have to like him or even agree with him. But what he basically does is he's one of these what I like to call edgy boys who likes to make like the who likes to make some of the most extreme comments possible, right? Like he'll make comments about the Jews, but he'll muddle down just a bit so that it doesn't sound like blatantly anti-Semitic. And then when you call him out, he'll basically go like, I didn't actually say that. Like so he's trying to make himself look like the victim here, and like Ben's just bullying him when Ben Shapiro actually has some fair grievances about Fuentes. But even at that, what you don't do is you don't confront someone when they're with their family. Going back to the hotel, and I mean I've seen people say stuff on Twitter like, well, Ben just brought his family here to Florida because he knew he would confront Nick Fuentes, and so he was using his family as a shield. It was just to avoid Nick Fuentes. No, dipshits. Florida is a big tourism state, especially during the holidays. People come from all over the country, for the holidays and for Christmas. And yeah, I mean, I get that, Shapiro was doing a turning point event. And I get that he was a speaker, but like, still, people like to bring their families here on vacation too. There are several like business people, who do work here in Florida who bring their families, with them as kind of like a mini vacation, especially in the area where I'm at, here in Florida. So it's not that uncommon. And if anyone thinks that Ben Shapiro simply brought his family to insulate himself from Nick Fuentes, they're delusional as to how important Nick Fuentes actually is. So then I love this part. So this is the part that not a lot of people have seen. The confrontation has been shared like on YouTube and Twitter, but this is the one part that not a lot of people have seen. I'll play for you.
Well, then aren't you supposed to rise above instead of going down in the mud with someone?
Because he gave a 45-minute speech about
You're only repeating that because you're trying to make yourself sound important and you're not.
Okay, that lady right there is absolutely right too. So for those of you listening on the audio podcast, right, Nick basically, does that whole setup where he stages just bumping into Shapiro. Shapiro crosses the street with his family and ignores him. He continues to walk to the hotel. And now he's just continuing to like loiter on the hotel grounds. And what you're about to see made me grin from ear to ear the first time I saw it.
This is the only time we can get him is when he's crossing the street and he uses. I guess he's just like the Palestinians using human shields, right?
Let's move to the sidewalk. Right? So just because I take money from people that are different than me.
So basically, hotel security came out, and a lot of people on social media are are like, oh, well, a lot of the gripers, I should say, are like, well, why did hotel security come out? Because, I mean, this is the guy who has kind of been like, harassing Shapiro and harassing Charlie Kirk again and again. As I've said numerous times in the past, I'm not a fan of uh Charlie Kirk necessarily, or of Turning Point. Though I like what some of their chapter leaders are doing and what their individual chapters are doing. It's more of Turning Point's like uh I guess executive level that I have trouble with, but there are lots of great chapter leaders individually across the country, especially. Shout out to my buds, Alex and Sean, who run the Turning Point USA chapter at Penn State, hosts of Real News, Versamedia News Network. They've been on the podcast 3 times this year. Those guys are great, and you know, I've like I said, if Nick weren't so snarky, I wouldn't have a problem with what he. I wouldn't have a problem with him as much. Um, the way you handle that, first of all, right? If Nick is so influential, right, as people say he is, he should be able to email Ben's publicist or his, assistant, or email him directly and say, "Hey, I felt that you misrepresented me. Um, can we discuss this, one on one? Can we have a debate?" That's how you. That's how you ask Shapiro to a debate. You don't, come at him on the street and say, "Ben, you know, why won't you debate me uh and make like a 45-minute speech?" And again, I'm not even saying you have to like Ben Shapiro. You know, to admit that what Nick did is cringe. So, I love the fact that the alt right is starting to consume itself. I really am.